So I'm going to give you my review of the Oppenheimer movie. This is Phil. You're going to hear some noise in the background. It's my neighbor's building some addition to one of his sheds. So you're going to hear hammering and all kinds of stuff. But I felt like being outside. I just came back from seeing Oppenheimer on Imax. It cost $17 for the IMAX viewing, $17.50 on senior. It would cost $21 just regular. I got popcorn, which they made there, which was it was nice that they made it there. But I got popcorn, a large popcorn, a bucket of popcorn, and a Coke. That was $19.50. The popcorn was a mid-grade level popcorn. It was popped in vegetable oil. Unfortunately, they don't no longer pop anything in peanut oil, which they used to. And the butter flavoring was good, but the popcorn was a little bit tough, but it was fresh popcorn, so I enjoyed that. I had a Jones for real popcorn. I just wish it was a better grade of popcorn. At $20 for a popcorn and a Coke, well, for a Pepsi, you wanted that. I wanted that popcorn to be like heroin. It wasn't like heroin. It was a mid-grade level popcorn kernel, which means when it pops, it's kind of it's not fluffy. So that was a disappointment. As far as IMAX goes, this is the first time I ever went to IMAX in my life. Okay, I figured, well, I'll spend the money. I'll see what IMAX is all about. I can definitely say, as far as my concern is, now I made a mistake when I chose my seat, because at IMAX you choose your seats, and or at least at this theater, and I chose the seat in the middle front, which is where I normally sit in a regular theater. Well, it turns out that all the sound comes out from the middle front. It was so loud, I had to move back, and there was plenty of available seating to move back. I actually left the theater. I had to go use the restroom both ways, and I took care of my business, got back in the theater, and I sat back about 4 or 5 rows. I would actually recommend, if you're going to go see this on IMAX, that you sit. There's usually like 5 to 6 rows in the front. Just forget them. Sit in the middle of there's usually a row, and then there's a break, and then the seats start again, and always use those seats, because IMAX is a big wide screen. If you sit towards the middle in those seats all the way up, you're getting to see that. I also would recommend you take some hearing protection with you. I don't care what it is, if it's earmuffs, if it's the push-in type of things. But this was so loud, especially at certain points. I stuffed like 4 pieces of napkin in both of my ears. It's an old trick I used at work when I didn't have hearing protection, just so I could hear the movie, because it was so loud it was actually distorting in my ears. So that was the discomfort of the IMAX. Would I go to an IMAX feature again? Sure I would. This theater had one of the best things about the IMAX theater was that it had these big plush recliner type seats. Now they don't recline, they just go back a little bit, so they give you a little angle on your back. But the seats are far more comfortable than a regular theater. The thing about the hearing protection is, I don't know if this particular version of Oppenheimer had a problem in that theater, but it kind of overmastered at certain points where the sound was kind of clipping in the speakers, and it was so uncomfortable. And it would happen suddenly. They would be talking, and they would be making a point, and then they would be going back to what Oppenheimer was thinking, and then they would show a picture of atoms and molecules hitting each other, and to make the dramatic point, they would have a loud pop in the sound. It was really uncomfortable. I would not see this. I appreciate why director Nolan shot this in IMAX, and because it is an important historical movie. I'm here to tell you right now, it's probably one of the greatest movies ever made. It's not the greatest movie ever made, depending on what your beliefs are. But this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. And the reason is because it it's not a documentary. So don't think it's a documentary. It's not a documentary. It's a screenplay about a book that was in itself an interpretation of historical events. And it added certain things to it to sort of flesh out what Oppenheimer was thinking. The only way you could get a real true documentary is to actually ask Oppenheimer himself what he was thinking at those times. And they just don't have that option. They can refer to his writings. But he was quite an amazing man. It goes through his early years in college, where he is doing manual lab labor, and his brain is going in so many different directions. You have to be of a certain ilk to do that type of work. Your brain has to work a certain way, and this is the thing I tell people about when you're smoking pot. There are people who can smoke pot, and there's people who can't smoke pot. There's people who can do hallucinogens and people who can't. Your brain has to work a certain way. Oppenheimer's brain worked in a multipath, multiphasic way with abstract theories that were working in his brain at all times. He was not a person who could sit down at a lab and do defined chemical formulations through a book and be satisfied with it. It did not hold his interest. Well, in any case, it goes through his whole life history, and I'm not going to give you that on this review. I'm just going to tell you, this is probably one of the best movies ever made. And Director Nolan and all of the actors deserve a true thank you. Well, I'm giving you that now. Thank you. This is devoid of any woke garbage. It is. I was very surprised. Cillian Murphy gives an amazing performance. I don't know if the Academy is going to give one Best Actor award. I don't know if he's going to get it, because Robert Downey Jr. is amazing in this movie as Oppenheimer's foil, as his enemy. And I'll tell you this, it could be, the reason I say this is because now Cillian Murphy is the leading actor in the movie, and Robert Downey Jr. is a supporting actor. But Emily Blunt gives one of the best performances of her life in this movie. Emily Blunt, for me, at one point in this movie, late in this movie, she saved this movie. And it wasn't her that saved it. It was Oppenheimer's wife, because I'm telling you what Emily Blunt said in this lynching of Oppenheimer. The way she humiliates the guy who has been appointed to destroy Oppenheimer. I was in tears. Emily Blunt was so perfect in her delivery of this moment in the movie. It really, if you got to understand, this movie also has nudity in it. It has frontal nudity from female. It shows breasts. It shows sex. It shows the act of sex, but not gratuitously. But the reason it's there is to flesh out every reason why Emily Blunt's character should have abandoned her husband. And yet, I don't want to give away too much about this, and yet Oppenheimer's wife stood by her man. And it goes to the core values of why you love someone and why you stick by them and why you know they're fallible and you accept those fallibilities. You're not happy with them, but you stick by that person. You love them. And, I mean, Emily Blunt was amazing. She was amazing. So she should definitely get the Best Supporting Actor Oscar out of this, because she was amazing. Robert Downey Jr., I don't see how he can get Best Supporting Actor and then Cillian Murphy gets Best Lead Actor in a role and Emily Blunt gets passed over. Because I'm telling you, Cillian Murphy was wonderful in the role, but Robert Downey Jr. was a powerhouse. A powerhouse. And Emily Blunt was also a powerhouse. So I don't know how the Academy can give those actors awards. Now, I will say this, Matt Damon was excellent as General Leslie Groves, but his performance was not at the level of Murphy's or Downey's or Blunt's. It was just a tinge lower. It's almost like Matt Damon, as Matt Damon was playing Leslie Groves. And you don't understand what I'm saying. It would be, when you see somebody in a role, and you say, oh, that's so-and-so playing himself. Well, that's what you got with Matt Damon. He did a great job with the material. He did a great job of playing Leslie Groves. But I think they could have potentially put another actor in that role who was a little bit more gruff. But Matt did a great job with the role. And maybe his down performance a little bit gave room for Cillian to shine and gave room for the rest of the cast to shine, because every actor in this production did an outstanding job. I'm just telling you, this was a work of art. This is a work of art. It is about a historically important moment in time, and but it is not a documentary. Now, it's 3 hours long, and it is an adult movie for adults. The nudity shown is shown as a defining point in Oppenheimer's life, where he is being enticed by his own human frailties and fallibilities to do things that would have compromised him to the United States as a viable person to run the program. And it's a very powerful visual tool in the story. The nudity is a very powerful visual tool in the story to show how Oppenheimer realizes, as this relationship moves along, because it's a relationship, long-standing relationship he has with a woman who's in the Communist Party, who may well have been being used by the Communist Party as a mole to get at Oppenheimer. And she is very beautiful, and she's really great in the role too, and she sells it. And it's heartbreaking. It's kind of heartbreaking. But there's a moment in a meeting late in the movie where it's Emily Blunt as Oppenheimer's wife is seeing things for the first time that she never saw. And the way the movie's made is brilliant. Really. And it requires an adult sensibility. It is an adult movie for adults. It is not, don't take your kids to go see this. They're not going to get it. Don't take your 12-year-old or your 10-year-old kid to see it. Unless you could. I hate the idea of it, but they could put blocks over the nudity, and they could also put a big block over a certain scene at the meeting where it's just the heads of the actors showing. I kind of despise that, because It was not done as a stunt, is what I'm trying to tell you. The nudity was not done as a stunt. Okay? The nudity actually goes in the story as a powerful indication of when Oppenheimer feels that he is absolutely stripped before the world of everything. And indeed stripped before his own wife about his own frailties. So that's why the nudity was in there. By the way, I'm drinking, this is Beck's non-alcoholic beer. This is non-alcohol. You can see it right there, 0 alcohol. And this is really good stuff. That's about the best tasting non-alcohol beer I've ever tasted. I like Beck's, but I like the taste of that. But it's not beer. I mean, it is beer, but it's, no alcohol. There's not going to be a buzz. But in any case, I just wanted to give you the heads up. I would recommend this about Oppenheimer. If you are going to go see it on IMAX, sit about 6 rows back from the screen. If there's a gap, if there's a hallway in the middle of the seats, sit behind that gap. But you can see this movie in a regular theater and get all the information you need from the movie. And all of the actors were outstanding. Now, I did see some reviews come out, early reviews come out saying this movie felt long. And I would say it definitely was. If you weren't interested in the subject matter, I could see how this could be a chore. But I know the entire history of this situation because I grew up reading about it. And I was fascinated with the personage of Oppenheimer, so I did my own investigations about the guy. And he, even today, he's getting railed as a communist. And if you watch the movie with an impartial mind, you'll see that what happened at Los Alamos, what happened with those scientists, and how America got the bomb was that the bomb was going to come. This was the time in history, in our cycle of history, where the bomb was going to come. Now, it was either going to come from us, or it was going to come from the Russians. It could potentially have come from the Germans, but it was going to happen. And ideally, because the American government and General Groves convinced a huge consortium of the key scientists and physicists in the field to go to Los Alamos and build the bomb, the Nazis were deprived of that knowledge. So that's where we got to the bomb. You can't put this back in the bottle. I mean, we have nuclear weapons now. We have nuclear power now. Unfortunately, now we have germ weapons that we just got hit with by the Communist Chinese. COVID is a weapon of war. It's killed 7 million people so far. It's rather interesting that a certain guy with glasses, it's an American, paid for it to happen, but, okay. But the whole thing about Oppenheimer is it's a great movie. You have to have a thinking mind to watch it. If you're not interested in the atomic bomb, don't go see it. If you're not interested in how it came together and how Robert Oppenheimer got absolutely railroaded because he was telling everybody who would listen, look, we have to be careful about this. We have to be careful because we can't just keep building bigger and bigger and bigger bombs. And the thing was, the Soviets actually proved this thesis with the Tsar Bomba. They actually proved that you could build a bomb that was too big. And they actually cut that yield of that bomb down. And it still scared the hell out of them. So, it's a great movie. It's a historical masterpiece. It's going to get Oscars. Um, is it boring? Yeah. If you don't understand the story of Oppenheimer and you don't understand the atomic bomb, and you're not interested in that, and you're not interested in a really good retelling of the story, I would say that it was probably 95% historically accurate. They really did work on telling the story with class and style. Um, but Robert Downey Jr. is amazing. Cillian Murphy is amazing. Matt Damon is excellent with Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer as Leslie Groves. And Emily Blunt is just amazing. I mean, how in the hell can she go into every movie and make it better? I don't, really. I mean, you've got Robert Downey Jr. giving the performance of a lifetime. You've got Cillian Murphy doing the absolute best he can to bring Oppenheimer to life. You've got all of these other actors who are playing these scientists and all the other politicians and stuff given, world-class performances. And here's Emily Blunt, who sneaks in and just hammers out one of the best performances of her lifetime. The whole movie's magnificent. They all have, this is going to be one of them things, one of them movies that I really got to tell you, I don't think it's going to do well at the theaters because the word of mouth is going to be that it's too long, that it's too boring, that it's like a documentary. But I'm telling you, if you care about history and you care about where we're living today, what we're living in today, because we're living in the nuclear age today. This is where it came from. And this is what the brightest and most brilliant minds of the 1940s did to make that happen, and make it happen so that America could defeat the Germans and the Japanese. And the atomic bomb saved, it's estimated that it saved between 500,000 and 1 million American soldiers if they had to invade Japan. I would state that it probably saved 4 to 6 million Japanese citizens because they were determined. They had been bred and told, to take sharpened sticks if they had to and charge American troops. Die with honor. And it was 2 nuclear bombs on 2 cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that got the Emperor of Japan to get off his butt and for the first time ever go on the radio and talk to the Japanese people for the very first time ever and say that the enemy has developed a very powerful bomb. We do not have a reply for this weapon, and this weapon means the total destruction of Japan. Therefore, I'm ordering you as a subject of the crown, as your emperor, to stand down. It is that we will suffer the greatest of anguishes so that Japan shall live into the future. The only reason that statement gets made is because 2 atomic bombs got dropped. People don't understand who talk about the atomic bomb that we've been firebombing Japanese cities for weeks. We firebombed Tokyo and killed like 120,000 people in one night. That's why it didn't get bombed by the atomic bomb. There was nothing left. There were several other cities that got firebombed. They were actually stopping the firebombing because they were running out of targets for the atomic bomb. And still the Japanese wouldn't surrender. So it's a great movie. It was 3 hours long. I wish I had gone to the regular theater to see it because the $7 ticket would have got me all the information I needed and I wouldn't be deaf. But that's cool. I mean, I understand why Director Nolan shot it in Imax. And it is a historically important movie from the standpoint of showing what Oppenheimer went through. But it's an adult movie. Don't go to this movie This is not Mission Impossible 7. This is not John Wick 4. This is about a historical figure who's potentially one of the most important historical figures in the history of the world. But I would actually support that. I don't know. I mean, I hate to call him the father of the atomic bomb, because without Leslie Groves choosing him, he wouldn't be the father of anything. And this is the thing that gets lost in the lurch here, is that without the organizational genius of Leslie Groves, none of this would have happened. So Oppenheimer certainly attracted the most brilliant minds to come out to the middle of the desert, to a place that he had chosen long ago for some strange reason. This is the thing you get into about it was time for the atomic bomb to happen. It's called a confluence of history. It's a bunch of strands of events that come together to create an amazing point in time. This is a masterfully done movie, done with appreciation for the content that's in it. Every actor, every scene is important. If you like that, if you really are into history and into learning and expanding your mind about historical events, I recommend the Imax. If you just want to see the movie and see what it's about and get the information, see the regular movie. But I do recommend you go see the movie. And the nudity is, if you're an adult over the age of, say, 25, you'll understand why the nudity is there. Looking at this movie, I am amazed that the U.S. government didn't murder Robert Oppenheimer. Really. I'm amazed that they didn't just get tired of him telling them that we can't just keep building bigger bombs, and they didn't off him. But I suspect that the reason that they didn't do that was that he was so respected in the scientific community that if they had done something to Oppenheimer, they would have shut down science all over the United States. And so it's a great movie. It is a work of art, and if you're adult enough to understand it, it's a great movie to go see. If you are unwilling to be an adult and watch it, then don't go see it. But certainly, if you're on the hedge about it being worth to see in IMAX, go see it at the regular theater. But go see it; it's worth it. I wish I'd seen it on the $7 one, but that's okay. I can see the next one. I like the IMAX theater. I like the comfortable seats. Wasn't too jazzed about the popcorn and the $20 for the popcorn and the drink, because the popcorn, even though they popped it, really wasn't that tasty. The butter was kind of nasty, but the movie was a work of art. And Emily Blunt, boy, she has a habit of stealing my heart in any movie that she plays in, and she did it in this one too. I mean, brought me to tears, because Oppenheimer was thrown to the damn wolves, and Oppenheimer's wife, she had her human fallibilities, but she wasn't somebody to mess with. And Emily Blunt brought that to the screen in a way that hasn't been seen in a long time. And I just thank her for that. And Cillian Murphy, what an amazing performance. Robert Downey Jr., what an amazing performance. Matt Damon, I'm throwing a shout out to you too. And what a piece of work from all the actors and the cinematographers and the editors and all of them, because this is an important movie. It probably will sweep the Oscars. But everything in it's there for a reason. The nudity's there for a reason. It's an adult movie. It's not for children, unless you go and you feel that your child can understands the concepts of what they're watching. But I would definitely not take any children under, say, 16, 17 years old to see this movie, without seeing it first. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I've run this a half an hour. I know I have. I hope it hasn't split into two. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. Oppenheimer, you get a thumbs up. An outstanding movie. Definitely go see it at the regular theater. And if you feel like seeing it on IMAX, see it on IMAX. Just don't sit in them front 5 rows like I did. Because, man, whew, I almost got blowed out. I almost had to leave. Thankfully, I went and did my bathroom break and sat about 5 rows back and was able to stuff napkins in my ears and be able to stand the sound of the theater. But just an amazing work of art. You could see the love in this production from everybody. Okay, so at a time when we've been getting garbage from Disney for 10 years, and then we have a different company show us what Hollywood's all about, y'all should go see that. That's what I gotta say. Thanks for watching the video.